Today we sit down with designer Dan to chat about his latest brand identity project, Ballymena Academy. Dan, let's first talk about the brief. What was the brief for this project?
So redoing the brand guidelines, redrawing the school crest or coat of arms, making sure that everything that worked in the past on paper also worked digitally in this new age for them and preparing them for the next 200 years.
As any brand project kicks off, what happens first? What is your first protocol when trying to tackle something like this?
Yeah, so understanding like the project and the background of the company or the brand, that's always the first thing. So we went up and met them and took a walk around the school, found all these touch points and all the different brand material from the last 200 years. And then we reviewed it and analysed to see what the strengths and opportunities were there.
We found trophies, old blazers, nice little caps with a few different logos. And it was your job to try and distill the last 200 years into something new and fresh.
Yeah, so the coat of arms is something that they are given. It's not a logo that they design. So there's loads of heritage behind that. And we, coming in blind, didn't know all the meaning behind it. So we had to distill that and understand what we had to keep and what we could play with. Some of those core elements, like the characters and icons, each have meanings associated with them. So we had to keep that. But things like the mantling and the details around that, we could play about with. And that's when we had more freedom with the visuals, when we're building out into more of an identity system rather than just a mark itself.
And then, Dan, if we just get down in the design process, then what happened first?
So the coat of arms, that's the first thing. Whenever we went round for those meetings, we found like 20, 25 different versions of it.
All those different crests over the years had changed very slightly. There was an ant that kind of looked like a spider that kind of looked like an ant. There was a badger who was thin, then he was fat, but then he was thin.
So laying them all out and trying to track back and see where the original one was, which was in the school charter when it was first established. So we based all our designs off that, redrew it all, balancing out the weights of lines and all the details that may not scale up well on digital. And then it went onto the shield, which was the more simplified mark.
How do you think Ballymena sort of responded to that?
They were really positive. It was a surprise whenever it's something that they are so associated with. They come in day out and they see that shield, but whenever you see it reimagined and with a new form to it, it's something that they were really interested in and wanted to see it built out further. So the likes of the mantling from the coat of arms, we took that away from the shield, but then we were able to reuse that as a shape for containing text and imagery. So everything was being retained, but it was being reformatted and restyled creatively and in new compositions.
And then let's talk about the colour.
So the primary colours, the navy, the red and the white, had to stay. It was fundamental to the brand, but we were able to work with the shades and the tones of it to try and make sure that it was improved to be better for accessibility, especially for the website. But then also having the secondary colour palette. When we went around the school and we're looking at signage and notices and posters, we didn't want navy and red plastered everywhere. So building out that palette, using inspiration from the school building itself and different signage, different materials around the school, that we could build out a broader palette that gave them more creative expression with something that they really found helpful, but us too, as we worked on additional touch points and assets.
Talk to me a little bit about typography.
So the typeface that we ended up using was called Seasons. It has two different contrasting ends to it really. There's a serif one and there's a sans one, but it also has a mix in the middle. It's a variable font, so you can switch between the two of them. So it gave them lots of expression depending on if they were speaking with children and young people or speaking with alumni and older audiences, then they could really tailor their communications using that variable font. And then thinking about type scales, line spacing, letter spacing, all those things were considered and balanced to make sure that it was accessible for the widest possible audience.
There's going to be so many different platforms that the teachers were going to be using this font on.
Yeah, so as much as we try and make sure everything that we do is sitting consistent, making sure that the teachers and the staff over at the school can continue that on is a big thing. They like using Canva. It's quick, it's easy for them, especially social posts or in the moment. So we had to make sure that the fonts that we used, they were able to add them to that tool. Then we jumped in, set up their brand kit within Canva, had all those type scales in place for headings and body text, gave them the styling. So for them, it was really easy. It was just click and type.
We then started moving on pretty quickly to signage, to van wraps, to stationery.
So loads of fun touch points that are unique to them that we got to be involved in too. They're rolling out pretty quickly over the next year or two as the school opens each term, but making sure that all those colours and all those fonts are used both consistently, but not that it becomes overburdened or repetitive. So that's why we have those wider colour palettes and the more expressive typography that we can switch between.
Talk about the outcomes, sort of how it's helped then.
When the case study launched and they started to roll the project out, it's really exciting for me personally. While DHD has done quite a lot of work in education before, when it comes to brand identity, especially for schools, that was my first attempt at it. So really pleased with the outcome of it. Teachers, pupils, alumni, they all seem really pleased with the outcome. I think it's proven that after 200 years, making even minimal tweaks can bring a lot more life to it.
If you're looking for a brand identity project, or if you want some design help, please get in touch.